Rikers Island, the overcrowded urban prison. Built in 1932 on a landfill, Rikers was designed to be temporary, a quick fix for an overcrowding problem. 94 years later, it's still there, more than 90 years. Today, it houses 10 separate facilities spread across the island. 5,000 inmates, 5,000, infrastructure collapsing, buildings that should have been decommissioned decades ago, chronic staff shortages, exhausted guards, inmates in critical conditions. A pandemic that accelerated everything. 80% of inmates have not been convicted. They are awaiting trial, waiting for months, sometimes years, in conditions that raise questions about basic human rights, overcrowding, conflict, lack of hygiene. In 2019, New York announced its closure by 2026. But until then, it remains a living symbol of failure in the American prison system, a symbol that punishment without rehabilitation is merely institutionalized rigidity. Bastøy Prison, the rehabilitative paradox. 115 inmates live in individual cabins on a Norwegian island. Cabins, not cells, cabins. Some committed serious crimes, some committed severe abuse. All have access to the beach, to the forest, to freedom of movement within the island. They cultivate gardens, work on voluntary projects. They have education, they have dignity, and it works. The recidivism rate is 20%, 20, half the European average, 1/5 of the American average. The numbers don't lie. The Norwegian model is called the principle of normality. Life in prison should be as similar as possible to life outside. It is not punishment. It is rehabilitation. It is believing that people can change, that isolation and rigidity do not turn criminals into citizens, that dignity and opportunity do. Bastøy proves the system works, and the entire world ignores it. Devil's Island, the historical penal colony. Established in 1852 by Napoleon III, France's answer to British deportation to Australia. If England could exile criminals to the other side of the world, France would do the same, but worse. For 100 years, 1,200 prisoners passed through there. 1,200. Survival rates were extremely low. It was not a prison. It was a system of extreme survival. Tropical diseases, malnutrition, forced labor, severe psychological isolation. French officer Alfred Dreyfus was exiled there for 5 years, accused of treason. 5 years in an extreme environment. Today, the ruins are still there. Deteriorated buildings, empty cells. But now, tourists come to photograph what was once one of the harshest systems in history, to take pictures in front of what profoundly marked thousands of lives. Gorgona Island, from prison to natural paradise. A maximum security prison for 1,200 criminals. Highly dangerous individuals. Extreme cases, sentenced to the maximum penalty. Gorgona was where you went to serve long, isolated sentences. In 1984, it was closed, turned into a national park, and nature reclaimed everything, completely. The forest returned, the animals returned. Ecotourists call it a mini Galapagos. The prison ruins are still there, partially covered by vegetation, concrete structures being taken over by the jungle. But now, people come to dive, observe wildlife, remember that nature always wins, that even what was built to punish and isolate can be transformed. Gorgona is proof that transformation is possible, even for places that were once extreme. HMP the Verna, the British fortress. Built atop Portland, the Verne is surrounded by cliffs and a moat. 2 entrances, a bridge, a tunnel. It is a Category C prison, medium security, but its geographic location makes it virtually inescapable. Natural isolation replaces bars. It is medieval penitentiary engineering applied to the 21st century. You may be in an open cell with freedom of movement, but you are on an island, surrounded by water, surrounded by cliffs. The prison is not the building. It is the geography. It is nature being used as a containment tool. 600 inmates live there. All are imprisoned not by bars, but by water and rock. It is an invisible prison. Karabokan Prison, the prison of foreign drug traffickers. In Bali, an island of tourism, beaches, and paradise, there is a prison that houses hundreds of foreigners convicted of drug trafficking. Australians, British, Brazilians, all in Bali, but not to enjoy the beach, to serve sentences. The most famous case is the Bali Nine. 9 Australians arrested in 2006. 2 received maximum sentences. The others are serving life imprisonment. Conditions are severe, overcrowding, conflict, corruption. But unlike Nusa Kambangan, there are family visits. There is some flexibility. There is humanity, even if minimal. Inmates can work, they can study, They can receive visitors. It is a harsh prison, but not completely isolated from the world. It is a known prison, one that can be observed, one that can be questioned. HMP Isle of Wight, the Insular Mega Prison. Formed in 2009 from the merger of three historic prisons, Parkhurst, Albany, and Camp Hill, the Isle of Wight is a modern complex. 1,000 inmates, 109% overcrowding. Parkhurst is one of the oldest prisons in Great Britain, since 1838, nearly 200 years, historic buildings, structures that have seen generations of inmates. Now it is part of a contemporary complex, historic and modern together, old and new, tradition and efficiency. It is a classic British prison, but with modern problems, overcrowding, lack of resources, yet it still maintains order, still maintains dignity, still functions, even if precariously. Sark Prison. The island of Sark lies between England and France, in the English Channel. It is so small you can cross it on foot in half an hour. And it has a prison. A single cell, one. Sark Prison is the smallest prison in the world. Literally, one building, one cell, one guard, capacity for one inmate, one. When a crime occurs in Sark, the offender is imprisoned there, alone, isolated, not by bars, by geography. By being on an island of 400 inhabitants where everyone knows each other. Sark has no permanent police force, no judge, no complex prison system. It has a stone cell, an iron door, and absolute silence. It is the most humane and the most inhumane prison at the same time. Because being imprisoned alone on an island where everyone knows who you are, what you did, and will never forget, that is pure psychological punishment. Sark Prison does not punish the body. It punishes the soul.